Hello everyone, it's Ultimate53 here, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed, and today I'm going to do Reviewed number 21, and I'm going to be reviewing Avengers Age of Ultron, the sequel to Marvel's The Avengers, and the 5th movie in Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the 11th Marvel movie overall.
So, Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, this is a really well done movie. It took about 3 years to actually have the second one came out. Avengers 2. Actually, this came from the comic book Avengers 2, but it was based off the storyline from Avengers Age of Ultron, from Age of Ultron. I mean, like I said before, I don't read the comics, but I do watch the movies, and I like them. I like what the direction they go in. And this movie, it was basically the same as the first one, except a different storyline, of course. It was far more dark. I mean, there's some stuff that you could see from the previous movie in it. I did like, one thing I liked they changed drastically was Captain America's costume or uniform he wears. He wears like the helmet. It's no longer like attached to his body suit like in the first one. It's actually just like a thing you can just clip on your like it's basically a helmet. And the costume overall was really awesome. I just loved it. Like the whole thing worked. It was this like backpack kind of style thing where you could actually put the shield, like you could literally put the shield on his back like that. It was pretty cool. I love that part of that movie. And there's a lot of about Age of Ultron that I loved that really held its ground. The characters, the design of the characters was improved a lot. Black Widow's design was pretty much the same, except that now she has like Tronish. Remember that it's like her outfit kind of like looks like kind of Tron-esque, as like flashing lights and stuff like that. She's the same character, but it's very different. Actually, in this movie, we explore Hulk and Black Widow's relationship, because like apparently she's going after him or something. Like they're sort of romantically involved, but not quite. Like it kind of hints at it. And there's actually a scene where it's actually in the beginning of the movie. There's a scene where you have Black Widow trying to calm Hulk down, and she has to touch him and so that. Because she's supposed to be like, I think it was the thing on Facebook or whatever, where it was like Beauty and the Beast kind of thing, because she's the beautiful one and he's the monster. So it's pretty. That's pretty cool. But overall, it's a great movie. I mean, it's not as long as the first one, which is about 2.5 hours. I think that was. It was about then. It was still a pretty long movie. I liked the costume designs they have. The opening scene was phenomenal. It opens with basically the Avengers are hijacking a Hydra base, trying to get intel. Basically, they're going into a Hydra base so they can gain access to Loki's scepter, which has one of the Infinity Stones on it actually. And there's actually, because Thor says Loki's at the rescue here. And so they're hunting for it, and they have to do, and all the while they have to deal with Hydra soldiers, which is pretty crazy. But I mean, I like the characters I like how it's a team. I like how it's assembled. I love these assembled movies. But not to say that the first Avengers movie was not good. I love that one, but this one was improved drastically in terms of the costume, in terms of the characters, and I mean, considering that Iron Man, back in Iron Man 3, he just sort of suits. And everyone's like speculating, like, well, he in the trailer he has a new suit. He has a suit. So has a suit. Like, how does he get a suit? He sort of has on armor. But like, you realize that Tony Stark, he's a billionaire philanthropist. He can he can build another arc reactor and build another suit. It's not that hard. So I mean, there's no explanation of how he got the suit. I mean, clearly the reason why he got the suit is because, well, he built another one with an arc reactor because he's a billionaire and he knows about technology and he can do that easily. So it's no surprise there. I mean, it doesn't have to be explained really. It's really kind of there. We obviously know, if you read the comics, and you know that Tony Stark is a billionaire philanthropist and a technological scientist person. He knows how to do things. So that's not a surprise there. I mean, I like how his armor was different because we know that his arc reactor was removed. The arc reactor was removed from his chest because of the whatever I can't remember. It's his name, the shrapnel. I almost forgot what I was saying. Shrapnel caused him to have this. In the first Iron Man movie, we know that the shrapnel caused him to have this thing in his chest, so he become Iron Man. And in this movie, we show that you can see it's there, but you can know it's obviously different armor, way different armor. I mean, I like the look of the armor. Also, what's really interesting about this armor in the movie is that in the previous movies you have the kind of like circle stuff on the sides of his helmet. They're no longer there. Just kind of they're replaced with like kind of like weird rectangle thingies. It's the same thing, but it's different. So basically, the idea of this movie was that Bruce Banner and Tony Stark, they're basically science buddies, and so they create they want to create a peacekeeping robot called Ultron to peacekeep the world, but it ends up going wrong. And it causes Ultron basically a more mechanized version of the Iron Man armor, basically becomes the villain of the story. And back to what I was saying about the Hydra base. So I liked how that the whole sequence of like you have I think it's Black Widow is driving a tank or something, and then Hawkeye or Clint Barton is firing arrows at Hadna soldiers. That was a pretty great scene. And you have Hulk who's kind of rummaging around, kind of like destroying things, and you have Captain America who's on his motorbike. That was a great scene. I love that. And then you have Thor who's like jumping from somewhere and landing on a big tower thing and destroying, like knocking out two people. And then you have Iron Man who's just flying around, which is awesome because that's what Iron Man does. That's his power. His suit gives him the power to fly around, which is awesome. So that was a really great part of the movie. That's actually my favorite part because there's a scene where you have all the Avengers go like this, like suddenly they go for them, and then you see it, and then of course I love that the one of the moves that Captain America does is he throws his shield and it bounces between like several trees, and then it hits someone, and then you have a motorcycle throw it and destroy something, and then there's a great scene where because in the previous movie Captain America, the Winter Soldier, you have Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Well, they're released, but Scarlet Witch is behind, and Quicksilver comes out, and he and basically Hawkeye is like looking around, making sure he gets a good aim at his Winter Soldier, and then he fires an arrow. It hits one, and then he fires another arrow. It gets deflected, but because Quicksilver's there, and then Quicksilver comes again, and he basically knocks Hawkeye over, and then Hawkeye's like, "What going on?" And Quicksilver's like, he's like, or in this movie, he's not referred to Quicksilver; he's referred to as Pietro Maximoff, at least the Avengers version of Quicksilver. I'll get to the X-Men stuff later, in later episodes. But he says the catchphrase, "You didn't see that," or I'm trying to do a Russian here. "You didn't see that coming." I can't really do a Russian accent, but he says you didn't see that coming, and that was a great line because it's like really crazy, but also because he gets injured and that Natasha Romanoff or Black Widow has to watch over him and and then because they're all trying to help him out, and then she says, "Can someone take care of that bunker?" And then Hulk was like, and he's like, "Thank you." That was a great line. Um, but it was also a great scene at the beginning of the movie where you have Captain America, who's like all about language and everything, and he's like, and I can't remember what the line was, but someone said a line, and Captain America's like, "Will you watch your language?" I think it's either Tony. I think it's Iron Man who said that, where he's like, "Will you watch your language?" Yeah, I think it was Tony Stark who said, "Watch your language," and then Captain America's like, "That's not going away anytime soon." That was a great line. And then the great moment of the beginning of the movie. I'm still thinking, by the way. It's a lot to take. It's a lot to talk about. Because it's a really good movie. Oh yeah, don't remember. I have a new shirt. It's an Achievement Hunter shirt. I ordered this. Yeah, big fan of Achievement Hunter. But yeah. So there's a point where the movie where beginning of the movie where you have there's a whole bunch of Hunter soldiers because they're battling Hydra, the evil organization from the first Avenger, Captain America movie. And they have to, and then so basically Thor has his hammer, and then Captain America's very like, all right, let's do this, and then he's like, and then he knocks everyone out, and he's like, I think he's, and then it's like, it's all about the to me with the swing or something like that. I can't remember it. I don't remember what happened in that part, but it was a great part. It was actually a part in the movie where Tony Stark finally gets into the base. He goes out of Sentry mode, which is pretty cool because the actor himself is getting older. So I guess that's a really cool thing. He's putting in like Sentry mode, and so he's looking around for the place where the Loki Scepter is, and then he's like, there's a great moment where he finds a wall and it's like, please the secret door, please the secret door, and then he pushes it open. He's like, yay! He's like, please the secret door, please the secret door, yay! That was funny. And then he goes down and he finds and then Captain America is like, Stark, we got something, and he's like, yeah, I got something bigger. And then it's basically this whole sanctuary that has like the worm alien things from the first movie flying around, and then you have basically a really tragic scene of the dead Avengers, because there's a reality where the Avengers are actually dead. Avengers include Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Hawkeye, and Black Widow. At least that's six of them. I thought 5. That's 6 of them. Yeah. So there's and then it's basically an invention of what could happen, and it's basically Tony Stark looking and saying like, oh my gosh, this is the what could have happened. This is the Avengers, and they're dead. And it's, I mean, I believe that's actually, what I'm talking about here is actually what Scarlet Witch does, because in that scene you have Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, who are, Scarlet Witch is like trying to like, because her power is mind control, so she can like she can like give people but like bad memories or whatever, like tell them, make them think weird things. So basically, she shows him like the Dead Avengers, and that causes him to go like, and then of course after that he takes the scepter, and then the movie continues. There's actually a really great part where Captain America meets Baron Van Strucker, who actually pretty cool. Baron Van Strucker's son actually made an appearance in I believe it's season 3 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm not going to do a review on that because there's a lot to take in. I don't remember all of it, but I know he made an appearance in that an episode or 2 of that. It's pretty crazy. Check that out though. I can't remember what episode. I believe it's season 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But yeah, that was great because he's like, because he has this conversation with Captain America, and he's like, you're gonna have to do the faster. You're gonna have to be faster than. And then before he says that, Captain America's like, shield face, and then he knocks him out. And that was funny. So yeah, that was a great part. Also, so it continues and it has a lot of stuff. It basically continues uh, at the Avengers Tower, which is actually at the very end of the first one, which was basically all letters of Stark come out because originally Stark Tower was what he was. Avengers Tower was Stark Tower, and so the end of Avengers, you have the ST RK out of Stark come out, and they always use Avengers as the A in Avengers, and you have Tony Stark making building clouds for Avengers Tower, and then here we are. In this movie, you see you see the big A from the Avengers thing, like the big Avengers A, which is pretty awesome. And then you have there's that, and then there's a side power where you have the Iron Man armors come through, and that was pretty awesome. I mean, there's a lot of other movies that I liked about it. There's so much to talk about, really. There is. There's basically there's a whole scene where you have Tony Stark and Bruce Banner who are basically starting work on Ultron, and so that's the thing that they're doing is they're making Ultron. They're trying to he's telling Bruce Banner basically how they're gonna create Ultron, and wants to do big peacekeeping thing. He's like, this could be the key to creating Ultron. And he's like, the AI is thinking. It's like, and of course later on you have Jarvis and Ultron having a talk, and you see all those things from past Marvel stuff, and eventually Ultron gets scared and attacks Jarvis, and basically Jarvis is weakened or almost dead. I guess that's how it goes, because later on Jarvis is implemented into the Vision, which I'll get to later. But yeah, I mean, there's the party itself in the movie was great. There's a whole sequence where we hear references to people like Jane Foster and Pepper. Pepper is not in the movie. Even though people thought she was actually going to be in the movie, she's not in the movie. Pretty unfortunate. But we see a lot of things about the movie. We see a mention to the last movie, Winter Soldier, where you have Falcon or Sam Wilson who's talking to Captain America about the person's case, which is Bucky, who's missing at the end of the movie, and so that's a cool hint. I love hints. I'm a big fan of hints. Then you have a whole thing with Bruce Banner and talking to Natasha Romanoff. So glammed up and everything, looking very pretty. As she should be, because she's pretty hot. And so they're talking, and they're basically flirting. And then Captain America was like, it's okay if you're flirting with Natasha Romanoff. He's like, no, that's something. He's like, I'm glad you're doing something good. I don't know. It was a pretty crazy funny scene. And then later on, of course, Maria heals in that sequence of Venom's party, along with Helen Cho, who's basically an Asian doctor, I think. I'm pretty she's an Asian American doctor. I don't even know how it goes. But that's a really cool, interesting thing about that movie. And then the favorite part of the movie is actually the event when the Avengers are all gathered around Thor's hammer, and they'll sort of lift it, because it's actually from the comic book they'll sort of lift it. So it starts with Clint Barton, Hawkeye, trying to lift it. Bert tries like once or twice. He's like, I can't do that. And then you have Tony Stark. He's like, and then he's like, if I lift this hammer, I'll get a real Asgard. And then Thor's like, yes, of course. And then he guesses he's like, okay, we're back. And then he gets he basically gets his gauntlets from one of those suits, and he starts lifting it. And then he starts, and then quickly there's a scene. And then the next segment has Brody Rhodes' War Machine gauntlets who are helping him. He's like, you're my team. He's like, just represent Pull. And they're like, all right, let's go. Of course, they can't do it. And then Um, and then basically, and then what happened? The really great scene, but actually part of the comics. Apparently, one of my friends, the comics is that in the comics, Chris Evans is Captain America. No, Captain America, who's also played by Chris Evans in the movie. Captain America, he is actually able to lift the hammer in the comics, but in the movie he does not. But they made a nod to it by simply because everyone's like, all right, go Cap, and then he's like, and then you hear this like, you hear this it's like a nudge. It's like a small nudge. You see this really small nudge. You hear this really small nudge of, and then Thor's like, and then the moment he can't do it, he's like, because he's like, the moment he's like, oh shit, oh no, it's like nothing, and then of course Bruce Banner does it, and then you can't. He's like, and he starts doing the little thing, where he's like, and then that was a great scene. That was a really great scene. Actually, I think Black Widow also does it. I think she's able to listen it too. And then and then of course, the next thing that happens is that Ultron basically gets into the thing, because previously Thor had said, I'll give you this simple answer. You're not worthy. And then he was like, worthy? Of course you can't be worthy. And then they're like, and then he talks about killing Jarvis and everything. That was crazy. It was a big part of that. And so that's a really big part of the movie. There's so much in this movie I liked. The big battle scene between where everyone's fighting the robots is really awesome. The choreography of that scene was crazy awesome. Especially from the trailer. There's actually a really great scene where Scarlet Witch comes out and she's and Hawkeye is telling her that to man up everything. She's like, I can get your brother. I can send your brother to come out here, but if you go out there, you gotta fight. We're fighting an army of robots, and I have a bow and arrow. It's like, actually, it's my favorite line. It's like we're fighting we're fighting an army of robots, and I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense. And then he's like, if you fight, you fight to kill. If you go out, you can at least stay here and I'll get your brother. But if you go out, but this is actually really awesome. This line was so amazing, because the moment that she becomes an Avenger, it's like, if you step out the door, you are an Avenger. That line was so awesome, because he's saying that you are an Avenger. It's like, if you step out that door, you are an Avenger. And that line was awesome, because that's the moment we realize, oh my god, she's an Avenger. She's gonna be an Avenger. So, and then becomes part of the team, and then she helps out because she can control stuff. But that scene was great because there's a whole thing because they're in Sokovia and they're just like the whole city's falling, and they're fighting everything, and it's crazy. It really is. And there's also a scene where actually it's a scene where they're on the road, and Black Widow's like, can you I just have to pick up after you boys, and then he's like, can you keep them occupied? And then Captain America's like, what do you think I'm doing? That was funny. That was a really good part. And then there was a part. I think it was a part where it's like, everything clear, and like, no, everything is not clear at all. That was there's just so much in this scene. The stuff I like. The fight scenes were great. The acting was phenomenal. I love the acting. It was great. It was what you expect for a superhero movie. And the scenes with the Hulk. The scenes with the Hulk. Those were really memorable because there's actually a part where because basichere they go to I think it's one of the places where they go to where Ultron. It's one of the places they go to where one of the places they go to where Ultron is there, and like, because it's the place where Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are talking about um, about how bad Tony Stark is or something like that, and then um, they're in a place where Ultron is like, I think it's a place where Ulysses Claw is, because who's actually one of the villains of the Black Panther comic, I believe. Who's actually, I believe he's gonna be in the new Black Panther movie. And so there's a point in it where Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man show up, and he's like, Captain America. I can't physically feel my mouth, but I don't even remember. I can't remember much about the lines. I'm not good with the lines, but I knew a lot about the movie. That was great. And then I think the really great part was when Tony Stark was like, what's the vibranium for? And Ultron's like, I'm glad you asked, because I was about to tell you about my evil plan. Or like, this is part of my evil plan. I can't remember. And then they have a fight, and then everyone gets like mind control or whatever. They put him in like tricks or something like that, and then there's a great moment in the movie where Thor like leaves his hammer just floating, and then Quicksilver's like, ooh, then he just grabs. He's like, ooh, he's like, you don't grab onto to Thor's hammer when it's just floating right there. That's not how it works. But it was really great. It was so funny. It's like, ooh. There's also the same scene that happens where Hawkeye is where he sees because previously you had Thor where Scarlet Witch was doing the mind trick thing with Thor, and he's like, I am God, but I am mighty, and then he goes in and then of course he's not mighty because the tricks actually work, and he sees Asgard and everything, and then he sees Handrill or whatever. I can't remember the gatekeeper of I don't know, I can't remember his name, but Handrill or whatever. It's the gatekeeper of Asgard, and you see he's like possessed or something because he's like white eyes or something, but he's in it, and he basically tells him about this stuff. And you actually, the moment where you see the Infinity Stone, which is a big part of the next Avengers movie, Infinity War, you see all the Infinity Stones kind of gather up, and you briefly see the Infinity Gauntlet like right there. But like, it's like a cloud version of the Infinity Gauntlet. It's like misty and cloud and everything like that. You can briefly see it. Because there's actually a point where you can see all the Infinity Gems that have been introduced so far. Most recently, Guardians of the Galaxy. But all the Infinity Stones kind of gather, and then they're all like, they're all basically coming and forming it into what looks like an Infinity Gauntlet. And so that happens, and it's pretty crazy. But then there's a point where Scarlet Witch is trying to control Hawkeye, and he's like, and then he gets an arrow and he stuns her. He's like, and then he's like, sorry, I've done the whole mind control trick before. Not a fan. Because that's actually not to the first one, because the first one he actually got possessed by Loki, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, there's a whole thing about that. There's a whole thing with Chris Evans, Captain America, where he's like, stay out of this kid. So Quicksilver, because actually not, I mentioned it, Quicksilver just told Christian Maximoff. But later on in the film, we get a lot more of action. We get a big fight between Iron Man and Hulk. Actually, that's actually my favorite part of the movie by far, is the Hulk versus Iron Man thing, because he gets Veronica. Because Veronica, which is actually a nod to Archie Comics, which is kind of weird because that's not even part of the Marvel Comics. It's a different comic book industry altogether, but it's a nod to it. It's Veronica, who's basically the girlfriend of Archie Andrews in the Archie comic book. I'm not talking about that because it's not part of the review. But he calls her Veronica, which is basically the Hulkbuster armor, and he gets into the Hulkbuster because early in the movie, Scarlet Witch um, like tricked him and everything to become all bad and everything. He transforms and he becomes all bad and everything, and so basically starts. I think it's Sokovia it's like the city that they're in. It might have been Sokovia, where they're in. It's like it's kind of like this big city type area. It's kind of like New York, but not quite. I don't even have been watching this city. I don't even know. That might have been from New York, pretty much. I don't even know. I don't remember. But it's a city place, and he's like, and he's like, stand down, everyone stand down. He's like, that little witch is playing tricks on you. He's like, you're stronger than her, you're faster than her, you're smarter than her, you're Bruce Banner. And then Hulk's like, "Rrr!" And he's like, okay, don't mention Green Banner, because he locks Hulk into this big like armor thing. At first, Hulk freaks out, but he gets locks into this armor thing. And they start battling, and it's crazy because from the trailer, I was like, oh my gosh, they're doing it. Because I had it at the comics, but I'm like, oh my gosh, you have the Hulk Buster armor, which is the actually it's the first one. That's the first concept art that I ever saw, or from the ever got like production and everything like that as a filming. But this is the moment I'm like, oh my gosh, this is happening. So you have Hulk Buster armor with Iron Man in it, and then you have Hulk. They're fighting it out. They're like like that. They're just fighting it out, and because what's trying to happen is that Tony Stark, Iron Man has to fight his best friend Bruce Banner, because they're science buds, so he has to fight him to get him snap out of it. He's like, go to sleep, because usually how what they did was the Black Widow the lullaby thing with basically put it back to beating Bruce Banner again, but that didn't happen, so he had to like fight him. This is a big thing where he goes up a building, kind of reference to kind of not to the first one because it's also a thing where he has to go up a building, but it's a different way. But it's a big thing because he does that, and it's crazy because that's a big thing. It's this big thing where he's like, go to sleep, and then Hulk of course destroys his arm, and he gets a new one, and then he fights, and eventually he frees everyone. And so basically, by the end of it, it's this big fight. They're fighting, and it's a big fight. It's a really, really awesome fight. I love the fight. But by the very end, towards the very end, you have because the Hulkbuster armor basically he punched Hulk so hard. He punched Hulk so hard that he fell a lot, and then he's like. And then Tony Stark's like, I'm sorry, because he's best friends with Hulk or Bruce Banner, and he's like, he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to actually like destroy him, but he has to. He's like wake him up or whatever. So he's spitting out too. He's like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. He doesn't want to do that, but he has to. But that being said, it's like, oh my gosh, this defines their friendship. And he has to fight his best friend basically. That's just how it is. It's pretty big. Eventually he does knock him out, but it's just a really like touching. It's really touching. It really is because he's fighting his best friend. And it's a really big fight. It's crazy. It's awesome. I love the fight. It was awesome because that's how like comic book should be. What movie should be. Especially it's a great movie. There's also a sequence on because basically Hulk saw because the world saw Hulk for the first time. It's this mean monster thing, and so everyone's kind of like chilling, relaxing until they find Ultron, and basically you have there's a scene. It's actually quite funny where you have all the Avengers aboard the helicarrier thingy they're on, or whatever it's called, the ship they're on, basically. And so what happens is that Black Widow is like Thor word on the Hulk, and he's like, and it's like something about like so and so was victims like that, and then and she's like, really, and it's like good ones though, like good like toys and Duck. That was I can't remember the whole thing, but like it has something to do like like enemies and like destroying everything, and it was just like the things that Hulk does, and it was funny. It was so funny. There's a lot of great sequences in the movie. There's actually a really good, like I was saying before, the relationship between Bruce Banner and Natasha Romanoff really delves deep when they actually have to hide out at a base, basically the Hawkeye or Clint Barton's house with his girlfriend, wife, I don't know. They're together, they have kids, I guess. They're not married, but they have kids. It happens. And so they come, and there's actually a really great scene in the beginning of that where they come in. All the Avengers are in the house. And basically, I guess Black Widow is referred to as Aunt Nat because for some reasons, I don't know. But there's a scene where, first of all, you have Thor who's stepping on Legos, and he's like. And then Tony Stark, Iron Man is like, these are small agents. It's referring to the kid. He's like, these are small agents. But it's funny. And then apparently Thor has a vision, and he has to go. There's something about something to do with Asgard. Something has a vision. And he's like, I need to find an answer. Just don't find him here. And so he goes off, and that happens. It's pretty crazy. But there's a really great scene. It's a good scene where when he sees them all, and of course there's a scene where the scenes where you have the Hawkeye and his girlfriend. I don't actually know her name at that point. His girlfriend talking. He's like, I really support your avenging. And there's a scene where Bruce Banner and where Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow is like seducing, or not seducing, like trying to like kiss Bruce Banner. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, and then he tells him about his genetics. It's like we can't have kids. Like it's not possible. It's not possible because apparently she loves him or something like that. She likes him really, like a lot. And that doesn't actually happen, unfortunately. But it's pretty crazy. And there's actually a flashback where we see more of Black Widow's backstory, which is awesome, by the way. We see her like as a young assassin. We see her training the assassin. That's who she is. That's her thing is she's an assassin. And so we hear that, and we just hear a lot. We just get a lot of the backstory of both of Bruce's character and Natasha Romanoff's character about like they could have been together, but they're not together for reasons. So that was pretty powerful. And then of course there's a scene where Tony Stark and Steve Rogers are talking, and they're just having a little chat about the thing, and it's like I think it the line there, I think it goes something like Captain America's like he's like every actually before that he's like isn't that why we go home so we can win the fight then we can go home then we can go home, and then you have Captain America like breaks apart the world. He's like every time someone starts to and no report starts, innocent people die every time. And that was a powerful story because that actually sets up for Civil War, which I'll get to in a couple weeks here. That actually gets to their about how their friendship is slowly tearing apart because of the differences. And eventually, Tony Stark was called to help with the tractor, which is actually just a meeting with Nick Fury, former director of S.H.I.E.L.D. But there's just before he leaves, like, don't do it for my pal. And then of course you have his pals, like a small amount, and you have Chris. You have I keep saying Chris Evans. That's the actor. And you have Captain America pals like that big because Captain America has super strength, which is pretty funny. There's a scene where you have Nick Fury. He's like, I'm not the director of anything, and he's like, and then he's talking to Tony Stark. He's like, I saw the end. That's the song. And then you just talk with Tony Stark about the Avengers and everything, and then he's like, yeah, here we are with nothing but I will save the world. stand. And then there's the whole thing about it, and it's just a crazy thing about Ultron and everything like that. But other than that, it's a good. The scenes like that was great. I think the scenes that were the best were when everything like starts, everyone's fighting everything, and this whole like big battle going on. That was so great. The scene where you have actually it's Thor versus Ultron, and then Vision versus Ultron. Those are great because the first time we see Vision is because they implanted Jarvis into Vision, and that was a whole thing about helping Bruce having Bruce help him put Jarvis into that, which is pretty crazy. I love that part. That was awesome. So that was a great part. It really was. I love that part. So because we see Vision for the first time, and it's actually the first time where you have him lift Thor's hammer, which is the first time you ever see that happen, because he's the only character who's actually able to lift Thor's hammer without Thor, and it was like, huh? But that was great because he's like, I don't want to kill Ultron, but he's sent in a program, and it's Amos, and that is why Amos should destroy it. So basically, he's on their side. There's a big scene where Thor's like, I'm mighty, I'm running out things to say. That was funny too. It's really comedic Avengers adaptation. It's really great. It's a great sequel. It's funny. It has some really funny moments in it. I loved it. There's a really great scene where you have Vision with his Mind Stone firing at Ultron, and you have Tony Stark firing his beam thingies at reactor blasts at Ultron, and you have Thor channeling his electricity at him. They're all fighting against Ultron, and Ultron is just kind of like and then the really great moment of the movie is when everyone's gathered. You have all the Avengers, even Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, who aren't really part of the Avengers, even though Scarlet Witch actually becomes the Avenger in the movie. There's a scene where he's like, "This is what I want all of you together here. How could you possibly think to stop me?" Like the old man said. Together, and then everyone starts fighting, and then Thor's like, is that the best you can do? This is the best I can do. And then Captain America's like, you had to ask. And I was like, that was so funny. There was a whole bunch of, this whole fight scene where everyone's like, the cinematography is like, everyone's like fighting and fighting the robots. It's just awesome. Hulk is like, it was a great sequence. It really was. It's actually my favorite part of the sequence where everyone's like fighting the robots and everyone's like punching, bam, doing their thing like that. It was great. Everyone's flying around. That was a great part. And actually, later during the movie, you actually see War Machine is actually helping out. He's like, yeah, War Machine, coming at you. Did I say you could leave? What? That was some great line-and-ladders from War Machine. It really was. So it was a great movie. It really was. The sequences in the movie were great. There was a one sad part, and that Quicksilver actually dies. At least this version of Quicksilver dies. There's a scene where Ultron. Before that, there's a scene where Shield agents, because at this point Shield is kind of corrupt and everything. They're shut down and everything. So at least the last few people are left that are helping out. And so they accidentally fire Quicksilver. He's like, everyone's like, oops. And then of course Ultron fires at everything, and Quicksilver basically protects. He basically protects Hawkeye because the whole thing was like, you didn't see that coming, and then of course later when they were for the Vision, he's like, you didn't see that coming. That was pretty funny. But the really sad scene was where you have Quicksilver defending Hawkeye, he dies for it, and of course it's a pretty emotional scene, but for that reason. But even then, it was great. There's a lot about the movie I liked. I liked in the final battle where Scarlet Witch actually takes out Ultron's heart, that was crazy. It really was. Especially, I mean, the great scenes are like the street stuff where everything's happening. Overall, it's fantastic movie. It really was. There's so much about the movie that was good. I loved it. So yeah, that's all I can really say. However, one more thing. At the end of the movie, the end of the movie was fantastic too. I love the end of the movie. It was great because you have the new Avengers facility, and you have one last meeting with Nick Fury, and then you have it's like not the Unark Nazis, like we can trade him, and then he opens the doors, and then you have Scarlet Witch. Actually, she looks different in this. This is the point of the review I want to talk about. So she looks very different in this. She looks more beautiful, pretty. She looks prettier in this. It's weird because in the early in the movie she just looked normal, like dark lips. I think that's what it is. Eyeliner. I think she's got a little bit of makeup on. And then the end of the movie, she doesn't have any makeup on, but she still looks amazing. It still looks gorgeous, which is very strange. But she still has the thing where she's like levitating, and then you have I think it's a War Machine. He pops his helmet up, and then Vision is like, and then you have Falcon who's like that, and then he comes down, and his wings come back in, and then he's like, and then everyone's. And then the last line you hear is Avengers. And then of course we know he's gonna say assemble, but he doesn't say assemble. We just know that's the thing. He's like Avengers. And then he doesn't say it. It's like we know he's gonna say assemble, but he doesn't say assemble. But it's the same idea. So yeah. And then the post-credit scene was the best part of the movie. I mean, not the best part, but one of the best parts of the movie, because you have Thanos. You have at the very end of the movie, you have a post-credit scene. You have Thanos, who is you have Thanos, who's basically the store comes out at the scene, and then you have this line of "Fine, I'll do it myself," and he takes it, and he's like that, and the gauntlet with the Infinity Gauntlet with the empty stones. You have Thanos from the previous movie, Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the same Thanos, so we know that we know for sure that not only is Guardians of the Galaxy connected, but also that it's the same Thanos that was in the previous movies. So that's pretty awesome. Kind of things. There's this. Oh yeah, now I remember. So there's a Stanley cameo that I want to talk about before end this. The Stanley cameo was really great. It was actually my favorite cameo by far, and that is he's at the party, the Avengers party, and he's like, and then so Thor's talking about the alcohol that he's drinking, the ale he's drinking. He talks about it as like this is from 1,000 whatever, and this is not a drink from a normal. And then Stanley then comes in as a general, World War II general at the party. He's like, well, what about Omaha Beach? I've heard the story. Don't Top Gun is scary Bonnie. Come on. And he's like, all right. And then of course the next thing you know, you have Stanley's classic line. It's a Excelsior. So he's drunk. He's like Excelsior. And then everyone's drunk. That was actually my favorite part of the movie. That was great. That was a fantastic part of the movie. I loved it. So yeah, I think that'll do it for this episode of Review. I had a lot of fun doing this review. It was really great. Sorry it went a little too long, but I had a lot to talk about. I go on and on and on. It's so much about the movie. Eventually, a movie I love, like the movie. It was great. I have to say though, I didn't like it as much as the first one. I don't know. I just didn't like it as much as the first. Sorry, I keep just singing and going off. I didn't like it as much as the first one, but I did like it. I just the addition of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. I mean, it didn't make it great, but I liked the outfit change. I liked the story. Everything about it was great. So I would give it a 9.5 out of 10, simply because it was different than the first one. It felt, I guess, the addition of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, because Quicksilver only lasted like one scene, or no, one movie. He only lasted like the movie itself. So, yeah, that's all I can say. So 9.5 out of 10 for Avengers: Ultron. So yeah. Anyway, that's all I can say for this movie. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, then please give it a thumbs up. And make sure to check out my channel for more of these reviews and other future videos that I make. So yeah, anyway, I hope you liked it, and I will see you next time for the next episode. Alright, see ya.